Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, this is a tale of a right-wing snowflake. This is proper impressive. This sort of shows that all this confected nonsense about did Rachel Reeves lie about the black hole? She didn't, but let's be clear about which black hole we mean here, because as we discussed in the stream last night, could be several. The right wing who are reading all this stuff about Rachel Reeves lying don't even believe it themselves. Evidence for this? Well, I was putting up on Twitter something yesterday, and this was related to the stream I was doing last night, because I am really so there's some discussion about what the black hole is. So there was the black hole that Labour were talking about last year. When they came to power, they discovered a hole in the finances. Was Rachel Reeves lying about that? No, because she invited the OBR to have a look at the full figures, and they said, yeah, Jeremy Hunt kept this from us. So Rishi Sunak and Jeremy Hunt did lie. They lied to the OBR. The OBR said last October, link in the description below, that if they'd have been told the full story, they would not have approved of the budget, the last Tory budget from last spring. But then there was this talk of another black hole earlier this year, a £50 billion black hole. The press kept going on about it. Rachel Reeves said, no, there's no such thing, no such thing. This is me linking the BBC thing a few months ago where she was saying they're making stuff up, they're just posting rubbish, right? So now that it's turned out there probably was a black hole, because remember, Labour collectively, first of all, were going to try and save several £billion on PIP by restricting who had access to it. They abandoned that because Labour MPs went, no. And then they've scrapped the 2-child cap on universal credit earlier than planned. So inevitably that puts a hole in your budget. Then, of course, there's the issue of Trump's tariffs and things like that. So there probably was at some point earlier this year a hole in the budget. And the reason why Rachel Reeves put off the budget till quite late, because late November's very late for a budget, was because she knew the economic news would get better. So there'd be a chance the hole would go away, which is basically what's happened. Now the press are mad that they got it hopelessly wrong. But, and this is the thing about uncritically believing things you read if it aligns with your worldview. So this fella comes along, James Badcock, another triumph for nominative determinism there, says there is reliable evidence that number 11 sources, so that's Rachel Reeves's bit, right? The Treasury, the Chancellor of the Exchequer. There is reliable evidence that number 11 sources were feeding reputable journalists lines that were simply untrue or at best misleading. The 4th of November press briefing looks increasingly difficult to explain, right? So then someone asks, where or what is that reliable evidence? Perfectly reasonable. They're saying there's reliable evidence. Some of us are going, where? Can we see it, please? So then he replies. So, you know how sometimes it is on Twitter, someone may reply, you say a thing, someone replies to you, you don't get back to them, go, you ain't got an answer, but it's because you get loads of replies. Sometimes you get loads of replies and you don't see them, right? We don't all spend all day on Twitter, just like every now and then. But he's replied to it, he's seen it. In reality, he's not got many followers. Of course, he's going to see a reply to him, right? And he replies to this person saying, so he has asked, where or what is that reliable evidence? He responds, very trustworthy journalists and commentators who have no reason to lie about this. Now, first of all, I'm just going to say this. There's no such thing. There are some journalists who don't lie. I'm not saying there's no such thing as an honest journalist. There are some journalists who don't lie. But there's no such thing as a journalist or commentator, me included, who doesn't have a reason to lie. You know, if I'd put a video out tonight saying that video footage has emerged of Donald Trump at play with Epstein's girls, right? I'll get loads of views on it. It'll be dishonest. I don't have such video, right? But it'll get loads of views. And some people do that. They will put out a video knowing that they're lying, or an article knowing that they're lying, because it's sensational. It will get clicks, right? So there's always a reason to lie as a journalist and a commentator. Just some of us don't. You know, I have a deep aversion to lying, so I don't like to do it. Some people may or may not believe me. It doesn't matter. But there's no such thing as a journalist who has no reason to lie. But anyway, that's what he says. Inevitably, you're then going to ask, who are these reliable journalists? No answer. So then the person whom he replied to came back to him saying, it's been 8.5 hours and he's still not named them. Come on, James, you don't want to sound like you haven't got a clue what you're talking about. Then someone puts in here, you wouldn't know them, they go to a different school. And then he's blocked them. He's blocked them. Absolute snow. And look at, this is the entire thread, right? This is the entire thread. The person he's blocked hasn't been rude to him. They haven't called him names. This is the extent of it. He has said there's reliable evidence that number 11s were feeding reputable journalists with lies, right? In reality, what number 11, they were feeding journalists things. They were feeding them proposals, things that they were thinking about. Everyone knows if you leak something, that the Treasury leaks something ahead of a budget, it's not set in stone that it's going to happen. It's just like, we're testing the waters here. And the journalists know that, by the way. So, but they're just asked, so where is this reliable evidence? Mr. Badcock has seen it. So why can't we see it in the same place, right? He then responds, very trustworthy. So his source is very trustworthy journalists and commentators, no reason to lie. Name them then. Name them. Can't even name them. His response on being called out as not naming them is to block them. And the fact that he's blocked them again, because again, you could look at this and go, look, this is hours later. They've even said it's 8.5 hours later, right? So he may just not see, he may not be on Twitter. He may only be on Twitter for a few hours a week. Maybe that was it. Maybe just Saturday afternoon he's on Twitter or something and that's it for the week. So that's why he's not named them, because he's not been on Twitter, but he has, because he's blocked them. He's blocked them for asking that question. Not rudely, no rudeness, no threats. I mean, the usual reason for blocking someone on social media, correct me if I'm wrong, is if they're using threatening language or if they're just spamming you. I mean, I blocked someone in email today because they're having a pop at my dialect. We don't like the way you pronounce it. I don't give a crap if you like my pronunciation or not. I'm going to carry on pronouncing it like that. But they kept going on and on and on. And I'm thinking, I thought I was the autistic one. Why can't you let this go? I've already told you I'm not changing my dialect because you don't like it. So I blocked them just for spamming, right? That's another reason. You don't block someone because you've said something. He's contributed it. No one's picked on him. He's contributed it. He was asked for the sources of this information, didn't give it. He wasn't being spammed. No one was spamming him. He's just blocked them. Absolute snowflake. And I'll tell you what it proves, right? This James Badcock, right? He may believe what he was saying up here, that there's reliable evidence that number 11 sources were feeding reputable journalists lies bait, right? He might believe that because it fits his worldview, right? He doesn't like Labour. He thinks Labour are a bad government, right? It doesn't matter what's going on in the world. That's what he believes. So he sees the media that feeds his biases saying that she's lied. It fits his worldview. Like most people, he uncritically believes it. But then someone's asked him to be critical. Someone's asked him for the evidence and he hasn't got it. So he himself doesn't have the conviction, the strength of his own convictions. He doesn't really believe that Rachel Reeves has lied, because if he did, he'd be able to supply the information that backs it up. He could have just named a commentator. He could have just gone through the papers and picked out any Telegraph or Mail or Express journalist. Then they could have argued an argument about whether they're trustworthy or not. But he doesn't even believe he can do that. He doesn't even believe he can post the name of a trustworthy journalist that might have been fed information by number 11. And this is a bit of a warning to us all, how easy it is to uncritically believe something that's written in the press because it fits your worldview. But then when you're challenged, you have no answer and you have no response other than to block the person asking the question. That is the modern equivalent of la 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 la, I'm not listening to you. And it's a lesson to all of us that we should challenge ourselves, because if you don't want to make yourself look like a right tit like Mr. Badcock here, then challenge yourself before you post something, so that if someone challenges you, you've got a response. But there we are. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.